Good evening and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. This is Carolyn and I have not made a video in so long. I don't even know if I remember how to make a video, but we will soon find out, I guess. Tonight we are going to make a card. We're going to do some ink blending and some ink dabbing. I don't know what else to call it. I've really never seen anybody do this technique before, but I tried it the other day and I really liked the results. And so we're going to make a card with some ink blending and some ink dabbing. This is going to be a scene that, I can show you one of the finished ones. It looks like this when it's finished. So it's going to be like a scene with some green and hills in the background and water going by. So the first thing we need to do, I made about 16 or 17 of these because we send them to our shut-ins at church. And so I made a bunch and I thought, I think I'll keep one of those to do and I'll just do a process video. I haven't done that in so long. So we're going to do a little ink blending. I've already done the front part of the green, but I'm going to do a little bit of the back part. This is Stormy Sky in Distress Oxide. I'm going to do a little bit, and I'm going to use a little bit of Tumbled Glass also. Just making my little river here. Just smoothing that in. My ink pads are fairly dry, so I have to load them up pretty good to get anything out of them. So we're just going to do that lightly and then move it down just so we get a little, and I actually just cut this this little piece of acrylic to do this with. It's a border on this side up here is a border stencil, and I needed something that just looked like some kind of gentle waves, and so I just cut the back side of it. I didn't have any acrylic that I could find anyway, or that I don't think I have any, and so I just cut that so that I could have those little wave looking things. And so there we have our water, and then I have a little stencil that I'm going to use for the mountains. Not really mountains, but the green that's back in behind. I'm going to use some peeled paint for this one. Again, like I said, the green is a little bit juicier. It's not quite as dry as the blue was. And it's fine to get it down there on the blue some. It just blends it together and it looks just fine. Okay, there it goes. I don't know about y'all, but life has been crazy in our part of the world. For starters, we need rain so desperately. It is just miserably dry. Everything is dying, and oh, it's awful. Turn that over and get a little bit of another little hill back there. So this one is peeled paint. Let's do some kind of little thing right here. Then I think that'll give us enough of a background for that. That'll work. I'm going to take this on up just a little. There we go. Okay, that'll work for our background. Then the rest of this is just going to be sky. So I am just going to lay it on. This is still the Stormy Sky. And I don't want it to be smooth. I want it to be kind of cloudy. So I'm just going to lay it on. Pretty messy, actually, just to get that kind of cloudy sky look. I'm going to add just a little bit of tumbled glass in there to give just a little differentiation in color. Get our clouds. Then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in my dabbed ink instead of ink blending. Okay, I think that'll do for our sky. Now then, I've die cut a tree. These are the die cuts I'm going to use today. I'm going to use 2 die cuts. This one is just a tree. This one I know is Spellbinder. The other one I'm going to use on the inside of the card, I'm not sure what it is. I take my dies out of the package and put them on magnetic sheets so I can file them. And I'm not sure. This one may just be a Sizzix, but I'm not positive. But I'm going to use some of that on the inside. But I cut this one, and I'm going to just use it as a stencil. And I'm going to put it kind of over on this side, just about like so. I'm going to get my peeled paint again, and I'm taking a smaller brush this time, and I am just going to dab this paint with that little brush, or this ink with this little brush around this tree. I want a little down below it, not much, but a little. Some out around the limbs, and I want to leave a little bit of the blue sky here and there showing through so that it's not just solid. But I just love the almost textured look that this gives. It looks like leaves. I love it. And so that is going to be, I don't want it even out there, I want it uneven. There we go. So I think that is what we're going to leave it with. Maybe a little right up there. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now then, we're going to take this one off that I just messily used as a stencil, and we will put the actual tree on there that we're going to use. And you know, I was trying to use some things that I wanted to use up from my stash, and I had some Christmas paper that was I think this had like deer heads on it or something like that. It was, I don't know, something like that, and I didn't really care too much for it, and so I thought, you know, I'm going to just use that to be my tree. And it turned out great. You can't, it looks like a little bit of bark because it has some of that embossing on it, but anyway, I like it. Now then, I'm having trouble fitting my tree there. I think that may be it. That's it. Okay. It was embossed with these deer heads, and I thought, I just don't know that I'll ever use that. And so I took it out and made these trees out of it, and I like it. So here we go. We're going to just take a little bit of Nuvo Deluxe and just very, very lightly put a little. I don't even want it glued down. I want it to have some loose limbs and things, so I'm just very, very lightly touching it here and there. So I don't want it totally glued down. Okay, so there's that. Now if I can get it lined back up again. And it doesn't have to line up perfectly. It just leaves a little more of the sky showing. I'm going to use this dabbing technique on the inside on something also. And I've let the tree hang out over on that other side. I want it off of the card just a little bit. So I think that looks pretty good. I have let's see, I have a little green marker here that is just about out of stuff, but I think it has enough, find something to mark on, that I can make just some little, get my glue lid back on, I can make some little, I don't know, bushes or something that are over in here, just so this landscape doesn't look totally plain. Just some little wisps of things. I'm certainly not an artist, but I just wanted it not to look totally plain in the landscape. There we go. I think that's going to be just about it. I don't want too much. There we go. I think that'll do. Just some little things to keep it from looking totally plain back in there. Now then, for the little sentiment on the outside, this is a card that we're using for church. You could put anything on yours, but I mean, you could put thinking of you, hello, how are you, miss you. You could put anything in the world on it. But I've chosen a scripture for the inside, and so this outside is like a tree planted by the water, and then I put that scripture, the whole scripture, inside. And that will be the twist here in just a minute. But I did the same thing on just a blank sheet of white cardstock, and then printed these, because like I said, I was making like 18, I think, cards total, and printed these, and then I cut them on my paper cutter, backed them in just some scraps of blue so that I could put them here. I'm going to put my sentiment right up here in the sky. I'm going to put it up on some foam squares to give it a little bit of dimension. But I like the way that the paper matches the sky. So that gives us our sentiment. And I think I'm going to leave the outside of the card just like that. I thought about doing some enamel dots or some Nuvo drops or birds, but I really think I just want to leave it just like that. So like a tree planted by the water. And we're putting these on this pre-made card. So let me get a little bit of liquid adhesive on here. And glue that on there. I hope all of y'all have been great. We are doing great, but oh my goodness, it is dry, dry, dry here. We haven't had rain in like 3 or 4 months. We finally this afternoon had just a little shower. I mean, barely enough to even settle the dust a little bit, but I was just so thankful for it. We'll take anything we can get at this point. We're going to trim this off now. Just literally anything that we can get, we will take. Our hay fields are brown. I live in a little rural area outside the Metroplex, and we have it's a little incorporated city, but our water supply is just, barely hanging on. And we have got several new housing districts that have gone in. Our area is growing so quickly. And we are limited. We're on water rations with no outdoor watering. So yards are just totally dead. Our potted plants. I have literally been saving my shower water and my brush my teeth, wash my hands water, my dish water. I've been doing my dishes by hand instead of running the dishwasher and saving that water and just watering a few potted plants outside with that. But it's awful. It's just so dry. The inside of my card is going to have, I'm going to put it right up here. And this is that second die cut that I was showing you. I'm going to use this, but I'm going to cut it apart and just put one tree there. So I'm going to use, I think I'll use this one. But I'm just going to cut these apart. And I'm going to trim this down. So that I can put that there. So let's do the twist. This is the scripture that goes with the front of the card. And it says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit." Jeremiah 17:7 and 8. I thought, man, that scripture is so appropriate for our drought season. But more importantly, that scripture doesn't just refer to a tree, of course, planted by a stream, and even though it faces drought, we have droughts in our lives. I mean, there are times that we struggle in our lives, and it may be with illness, it may be with our marriage, our kids, but we have droughts in our lives. And of course, the stream that we're planted by, that we draw strength and fortification and our life source from, is God, Jesus Christ, his son, who saved us. And so that is, of course, the underlying meaning of that, to draw our strength from him and let him take care of us and our worries, and just not to be afraid no matter what comes along in our lives. And that's hard to do. I know many of you have had very difficult things in your lives. I've had breast cancer. I lost my husband to leukemia and just various things like that. But there's one that's always there to help us through those times. And I'm so thankful for that. But you could put anything you wanted to on your card. You wouldn't even have to use trees. You could use flowers or something else, and you could do some kind of sentiment of just, missing you or thinking about you or whatever you wanted to. But anyway, this is our little card. So we've got our little saying inside. I don't always put something on the inside, but I did on this one. I just put this little piece of green on there just to kind of balance out the tree and to draw your attention to it. I also used that same technique on this paper. This was just a piece of white cardstock. I used the shabby shutters, and I just ink blended the whole thing and then printed and then dabbed like I did around the tree. I just dabbed all over that sheet to give it that kind of textury looking background, and then just printed it on the computer because I needed so many, and then just cut them out on the paper trimmer, and then of course kind of semi-framed it with the green, and then added the tree just to kind of give some interest to the inside of the card. And then the outside with our ink blending, our ink dabbing. This is up on dimensionals just to get it a little bit of attention. And then our tree that's planted by the water. So I think that was just a quick little card that we made today. I'm just glad to be back with you. hopefully I'll get some more done. I have my Christmas card planned. I think it's going to be really pretty, and I may try to do a video on it here before too long. So good night, and God bless, and hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye.